When will you go from yellow stage to the next stage? We don't know how to answer that just yet because there's so many things that have to happen with the testing that's being done. But folks, this community knows what they have to do. They're rallying around it. They're getting it done. And as long as you just drink bottled water and don't soak in the bathtub for probably an hour or something like that, and it's not any bacteria problem if you soak that long, but if you have any problems with chlorine in the water, you could get a few red rashes from it. So we suggest short showers and wash your clothes. That's fine because that's all right. You asked a question earlier that I talked to Don Coslin about when we flush out the high states of chlorine. Yes, it's being diluted, but as we flush the hydrants in our city, if we have a high level of chlorine detected in it before they start flushing, then what we do there is run it through a filtering system that brings it down to a moderate level. When the chlorine is at a moderate level, and please, I'm not an expert either, but somewhere 10 or less, when that goes into the wet storm drainage thing in the sun and just the natural mixture, that by the time any of that would ever reach the Rio Grande River, it would be down to around a 1 or a 2 level, is what I've been told. So there is no danger in the amount of chlorine that's coming out of the hydrants to contaminate or cause a problem in some other way. So everything that can be thought about, these two gentlemen here and the other folks that aren't even here, and with our city staff that are dealing with what do we do next, it's been thought of. How we ever end up fixing or solving the riddle or the mystery about how did salmonella get in, I'm not prepared to answer that, and nobody here I don't think is just yet for you on that question, folks. But if you can fit with 1 part per million, will kill the salmonella in just that short period of time. Our water system will be about 2 parts per million on a normal basis. Now, I don't know how many of you have seen the new $18 million plant we're building. That new $18 million plant's going online, we hope, in June. We'll start testing it here in our next, I think, sometime in May. We haven't been on chlorine in our water, ever, because the wells were very clear and didn't have to be. Now, who would have predicted something like this? So, do we all agree that hindsight's about 20/20? We planned as we go onto the new plant to chlorine the water anyway. Now we're there a little early. So the system is in place. It's going to work. We're all comfortable with it. But there's a little glitch every day. We wanted to hand out flyers a little sooner than we did yesterday. Well, we waited a little while because we had to finish getting to stage 2 in the rest of the city. So we got to be flexible in how we do this. Most important thing, again, is the health of our citizens. Yes?
Can you give us a sense of what exactly needs to happen before people can drink the water? Is it getting that chlorine level down? Is it a last flush? Is it opening your sinks and then wiping it down? Like, what has to happen?
I can answer part of that, then I'll let Nathan answer more. Right now in stage 2, we told everybody to open up all their faucets in their entire house and run them from 3 to 5 minutes. Because you can flush your toilets all you like, but sometimes the line that goes to the kitchen sink doesn't get the chlorine out of it. So by doing this, the hot water and the cold water, they get the rest of the chlorine out of their water system in their household. So that solves that problem. Want to add something to that?
Is it what we're calling the all clear, that permission will come from the state. Mm-hmm. So they will tell us when it is safe to drink. That's not a city decision.
But what are some of the factors that affect that? Just so we have a sense, is it mostly chlorine? People don't want to drink.
We're waiting for the testing to come back, essentially. The chlorine levels have to come into drinkable. The other heavy metal tests have to be good, and then the salmonella test especially.
What has been the cost to the city of Alamosa itself, so far?
I don't have a firm number on that right now. There's some big numbers floating around.
Do you have any estimate? Or?
Right now, I didn't get that number this morning when the state sent down a number, so I have not seen it yet.
We do have a figure for you.
What do we do? Okay.
We'll get you one. So for the people who pay for the water source, are they going to be recompensated, or are they going to not have to pay for the time that their water was contaminated?
We're still discussing it. $469,000 to date.
And what kind
And
of
that-
things does that encompass? Is that staff time, is that the chlorine, what is that, what's in that figure?
Everything. So it's the state, the management teams, incident management teams.
National Guard costs, all that kind of stuff.
Okay.
And that is just the cost from the city of Alamosa itself, not from the emergency funding we receive from the state?
That includes everything right now. That number we just gave, 469, we'll have to, and that number continues to change every day.
Okay.
This is a couple more questions that's going really long. If you got any great questions, hit them. Okay. We
Mayor
already have-
Lustig,
I'm
it
sorry,
sounds
Dan.
like this could have gone on much longer than it did. It sounds like some estimates with the flushing and the chlorination process could take much longer. You've got to be happy that.
Oh, we're happy because you're right. The original estimates, when this all started, they were maybe talking a couple months. And you just heard it from Fred, 7 days. Now, we couldn't have done that by ourselves that way. No way in the world. But the expertise that we got from our neighbors in the other communities in the state, that's what made this happen in 7 days. Fred and, where'd Fred and Jim go?
He has a meeting.
They got more meetings. Hey, we got a lot of meetings to go to. I've discovered that being a businessman in town, I haven't hardly seen the inside of my place for a while. But that's fine. This is what you got to do when you got to do it, and we're happy to do it. And thank you all for being here. Is that wrap it up?
Pretty much. The good doctor would like to do a hand washing session with everyone. If they would like to actually get that on film for something, you want to see how we like people to wash hands, we're happy to do it. And I think that wraps it up. These guys will be around. If you want to catch something.
Could you step behind the mic and tell us I didn't catch your position, your title.
I just have one final announcement, more for our local reporters, that graduation will go ahead and continue as planned. We will not be moving our graduation date, so our parents and seniors, visiting family members can still plan on it.
What day was that?
It's the Saturday before Memorial Day, so I think it's the 24th or the 25th. And that's why I explained to you earlier, it's not really a hardship. We can still come back and make it for 4 days and be out before June 1.
After they graduate.
After they graduate. Well, the seniors, the undergrads. There's still a few privileges for
Yes,
seniors.
okay.
Yeah.
After they graduate, they're going to come back 4 more days?
Public health, operations branch supervisor.
Is that local to Alamosa? Is that
With the Northwest Incident Management Type 3 team.
so out of where?
I'm a public health emergency planner from Mesa County, but I'm a member
They're just over here.
I'm a member of the team, so I came over with
Hi.